We love practical performance cars because sometimes a vehicle's got to do it all. Do you want a comfortable daily driver that you can also take to the track and do a Home Depot run sometimes?
Today we have two vehicles that perfectly embody practical performance, even though they're at different ends of the automotive spectrum.
And we know you're probably not going to be cross-shopping a hot hatch with a performance truck, but they cost around the same and they make pretty similar power, so maybe it's not as weird as it seems.
For more expert car reviews, don't forget to share our channel and subscribe so you can catch some of this and maybe even a little of that.
All right, Seb, you know I love a silly vehicle, and this Ford Maverick Lobo is so silly. So this is a street truck.
Yes.
It is designed for better performance. Like,
Yes.
This is not a truck you want to be really hauling or off-roading too much with. It is designed for performance.
But it does still have the practicality of that pickup bed, with the sort of performance of a lower suspension, bigger brakes, and a whole lot of other performance upgrades.
Yeah, so it also gets an upgraded cooling system. It's the same system that they use in the towing package for the regular Maverick.
Totally.
And it just helps keep everything under control and cool when you're doing autocrosses and more like hardcore performance stuff above and beyond regular street driving.
Which is what Ford said they designed it for. So it's got the bigger brakes from the Focus ST in Europe. It's got obviously the towing package from the other Mavericks. And it's got a tighter suspension that's a ½ inch lower at the front and 1 inch lower at the back, which kind of gives it like a really cool stance, I think.
I love the way this truck looks. I love how low it sits to the ground. I love these wheels are so sick.
Yeah.
And the other thing I really love about it is that I also think the interior has a lot of personality too, because the truck has so much outward personality.
Totally.
And so it's a really nice treat when the interior kind of matches as well. I love the contrasting stitching. These blue details are so nice.
Yeah.
You know, it carries over the regular stuff from the Maverick, like these exposed rivets. I love that kind of stuff.
Which is what I was going to say. I think that Ford does such a good job with the Maverick of making an interior. It's quite plasticky, but you kind of don't mind it because it's so fun. But for the Maverick Lobo, they turned to Kristen Keenan, who was a sneaker designer before she joined Ford. And I think that's such a good move. Sneaker culture is so popular, and like, you can tell in this interior that they've gone for kind of weird colors. They have the grabber blue and lime green accents on the stitching, which is really fun, and you just don't see it in that many other vehicles.
And you know what? That makes a lot of sense to me, because it makes sense that a sneaker designer, you know, put her fingerprints on this, because it's in that little attention to detail. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so while it is nice that this Lobo gets a bunch of performance upgrades, and it does help it drive really nicely. So the regular Maverick already drove so well.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to see that this really does hit that mandate of being a better performer. So it feels great in the corners. It also rips, but the engine is exactly the same one we get in the rest of the Maverick lineup, minus the hybrid, of course.
Which is a little bit disappointing, especially because it's like they've put so much effort into making this like the street truck and the sort of autocross truck, and then you get to the power level and it's like, it's the same. But 238 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque, nothing to sniff at though.
No, not at all. And it does help give this a lot of personality, but I would have really liked to see Ford push the envelope a little bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe just give me like a little bit more turbo boost. Just something to make the extra price a little bit more worthwhile over the regular one.
Totally, like a little bit more exhaust noise.
I do wish it was louder.
Just a little bit louder, because like you could like on the Mustang when they have the good neighbor mode. If you had a mode where you could just like hear it rip, I think it would give it a lot of personality, and I think that like it would make it feel okay that it actually doesn't have any more power than a regular Maverick. What I will say though is that even though it doesn't have any more power, it still rips on the autocross course. Dan and I individually both had the opportunity to take it on an autocross course, sort of rip around some cones, and we both came away from it so impressed. I was giggling the whole way. It was raining, and I even did a little bit of a power slide coming out of a corner. And I think that because it's pretty long for like a compact performance vehicle, it feels very stable, but it also feels really silly, and Ford does such a good job with its performance vehicles.
See, that is so much fun, and I love to hear that, because the opposite side of that is that I enjoy how daily drivable this is. Like, it's not a punishing performance vehicle to drive. Like, I've been very comfortable in here. It's not too, you know, rough over broken roads, so it's still really smooth and comfortable.
Totally.
But when you want to rip, it will do that for you.
And like surprisingly well. This truck has no business being as much fun as it is. It's really cool. And it's cool to hear that it's also a good compromise. Like, it's not just bouncing all over the road. It feels like a good car that you can drive every day.
Yeah, and the best thing about this is that it has all the same practicality, or most of the practicality that the regular Maverick comes with. So, you know, there's a 4.5-foot bed back there,
Totally.
bunch of tie downs.
Yeah.
There's two 110-volt outlets.
Yeah. And you can tow about 907 kilograms, or
Yeah,
about 2,000 pounds.
Which is a little bit less than the regular Maverick,
That
which
makes
is
sense.
fine, but
Given
it's
the
like,
suspension.
yeah, and that's kind of a sacrifice I'm willing to make because I'm not a driver who would be towing that much.
Totally. And if you want to tow like a Ski-Doo or something, I'm pretty sure you can still do that. So that you're probably not going to take this camping with a trailer, but you can still tow some stuff.
Yeah, and even the interior. I love how practical this interior is. It is so cleverly thought out. There's so many perfect little cubbies to store stuff. I really like that there's under seat storage in the rear.
Yeah, that's nice.
You know, like big water bottle holders, tons of places to stash stuff. And that's the practicality I love to see in a vehicle like this.
And it makes it a better city truck because you can hide your stuff back there and people won't break your windows.
And you can never be too safe with that kind of stuff. So the other thing I really love about a truck this size is that it is so much more fuel efficient than a truck should be, you know?
Yes.
So I was really happily surprised that even though this is not the hybrid model, it's officially rated to get a combined like 9.7 liters per 100 kilometers,
Which is pretty good.
which is great for a truck with all-wheel drive.
Yeah, totally. That's really nice too.
That's unheard of. And
Yeah.
I've been driving it a lot and I've been getting about 9.2. So I've been doing even better than the official estimate. So I'm really happy to see it.
That's awesome. And not only does that give you more performance, more acceleration, but also like it makes it a four-season truck. You can drive it in the winter pretty confidently. That's awesome.
Yeah, and the other thing is that this gets a different transmission from the other Mavericks as well. So this gets a 7-speed automatic with paddle shifters versus the 8-speed automatic in the other one.
Yeah.
And I love the addition of paddle shifters in a performance truck.
Yeah.
It just gives you that extra element of control and engagement, you know, when you do want to do that autocross. So love to see it.
And if nothing else, it helps sell the sort of like performance feeling of it. That's awesome.
Another thing I love about this truck is the pricing. So it's about $47,800, and that's before destination, which is, you know, a little bit expensive, but, and I know we were complaining about how we wish Ford would have pushed this a little bit further in terms of performance,
Totally.
but that would also make the price a lot more expensive. So I
For sure.
think that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Again, they seem to have made a lot of compromises that are really smart. You know, yeah, they could have gone a little farther, but it would have cost more. And anyway, if you're really a street truck enthusiast, you're probably going to do some tuning once you get it. So that Ford saves a little bit, makes the point of entry a little bit lower, means that more people can get into it. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, we're back in the GTI, and I think you know that I've always been a big fan of the Golf GTI.
I love Golfs in general, and the GTI to me like always just embodies. It's like the best version of this one, I think.
Yeah, it really sets the standard for the compact car performance segment, and I think that the Mark 8 is really good, actually. It continues that.
Yeah, I think it really is a great poster child for practical performance.
Totally.
You know, it has always been the one that people went to when they think of practical performance. So let's start with performance.
Yes. So, like the Maverick, it has a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Like the Maverick, it makes around 240-ish horsepower. This one makes a little more power, but a little less torque at 273 pound-feet.
Okay, but it is lighter,
It's
right?
lighter, yeah, but you only have front-wheel drive.
Right, and I think with the Maverick, it is more expensive, but I think the having all-wheel drive kind of justifies that extra expense, plus all the added practicality of it being a truck and having a big old bed in the back.
However, what I will say is that overall storage capacity in this isn't actually that much worse than in the Maverick.
And that was really surprising to me. So if we're looking for like numbers for numbers, I'm gonna pick up my phone here because I'm so bad at remembering numbers. But the Golf has a cargo capacity, a maximum of 977, and that's with the seats folded flat.
Totally.
And the Maverick has about 943 liters.
Right. And like there are some advantages to having a truck bed in that you can sort of like fit bigger stuff on there and you can go vertical and tie it down. But on the other hand, that also means that you can't just leave stuff back there when you're parking somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And if you had a tonneau cover, you know, that really limits how much you could get. So it was really surprising to me that numbers wise, the Golf actually wins in the practicality department. But as we all know, there's more to the story than just the numbers.
Totally. And I do think that you could probably fit more tires in the back of a Maverick if you're going autocrossing for the weekend. But on the other hand, you know, you're not sacrificing that much by being in the Golf GTI. And the back seats are really comfortable. The front seats are really comfortable. I love these seats.
Yeah, again, this vehicle is so easy to daily drive. It just fits into your life so well.
Totally.
It does everything you need it to do. What does it feel like from behind the wheel?
From the behind the wheel, good timing because we're right about to do a corner. It feels good enough for a GTI, I think is what I'm going to say. Which is to say that it feels really good, but it's not the most exciting car I've ever driven.
I mean, I think that's okay because I feel like if it's more exciting, you'd have to make more sacrifices for daily livability, right? So if we're really talking about performance and practicality, I think it's a really great middle ground between the both.
Absolutely, and like the Maverick, it makes a lot of really smart compromises. So yeah, you can just jump into it in the morning and it's totally a normal Golf, but then you get on an on-ramp and you can really rip. This thing feels so good on the highway. When you pull away, it doesn't matter what speed you're going. If you drop a gear and go, it pulls hard. It feels really good.
It's nice to know that it has a lot of pulling power in basically any situation, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I also wish it was a bit louder. You know, I'm a car enthusiast at heart. Like, I just want to rip, snort, and exhaust no matter what car I have.
It would be nice to just have a little bit more ability to be like a little bit more immature, you know?
Yeah.
But that is the nice thing about this car is that it has adaptive dampers, which means that when you're in comfort mode, it's so comfy. When you want to do an on-ramp, you can put it in sport mode and it feels really stable and it feels really good.
I've always loved that about the GTI. It was very attainable performance. Like, you don't have to be a pro driver to really get the most out of this.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So infotainment wise, I know a lot of people have complaints about this system, but you actually don't mind it.
Very controversial. I will say that I think that the improvements that they made for lighting up the little bottom bar, really smart, great idea. But living with it day to day, I was expecting to hate it, but it's kind of well done. I feel like the volume knob really does the thing that I expect it to. Adjusting the temperature isn't too hard. And I think that the size of this infotainment system is actually kind of a benefit because you can fit a lot of stuff onto the screen and it's all very large, so it's easy to find. And I think that for a lot of drivers, not everybody has sharp eyes, so I think it makes sense to make information large and readily available.
I do think that makes it more user-friendly and safer, but I do want to say that in the Maverick, I so appreciate having like physical analog buttons and knobs everywhere, and I wish there were more of them.
Totally.
In that one, you have to go through the touchscreen to adjust the climate control, and I really wish that was its own section.
Yeah, I will say that as much as I don't mind this system, a touch system is never going to be as good as real buttons. It's just, buttons are the best.
The other interesting thing about the GTI and the Maverick is that their fuel economy actually isn't too different. So I think this one is
around 8.8 liters per 100
combined.
Yeah.
Which, you know, for a front-wheel drive sport compact, pretty good. But I'm really impressed that the Maverick does not that much worse with all-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's really impressive. And like a larger vehicle that's heavier and that is like a little bit boxier. So it's really impressive how well it does with what it has. My one complaint about this car
is the beeping. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but it has been constantly beeping at us, and it is so annoying. Like, what's the deal with that?
It beeps for everything. So it beeps at you if you drift out of your lane a little bit. It beeps at you if you go 1 kilometer an hour over the speed limit. It beeps at you if the speed limit changes. Not even if you're overdoing anything. It's constantly beeping at you. It's very annoying. And I know that some of those features are mandated in Europe, but I just think that it's going to cause North American drivers to turn everything off.
Which defeats the purpose of having them entirely. Exactly. So like they got to calm down on the beeping.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think I really like this interior. I think they did a great job making it feel a little bit more, you know, special than a regular Golf.
It's like Volkswagen quality. It's all very well bolted together, and they've done a lot of really good stuff. There's like Alcantara on the side here that feels really good. Again, I love these seats. They're really comfy. But then they make some really cheap sacrifices in like some very visible areas. Like this trim looks so bad.
This looks like a sticker, like so it's meant to look like carbon fiber, but it looks nothing like carbon fiber.
It looks like a really low-res JPEG
Yeah.
of carbon fiber that they just stretched out to the size
Yeah.
of this.
Also, like piano black plastic, hate it, never want to see it again.
And these shift paddles are so small and so plasticky. And it's just like, this is supposed to be a performance vehicle. And this is like the one. This is the GTI. And it just feels like I'm like, have to reach for them and they look small and they don't feel that good. And it's a little disappointing that some of the compromises that they make, you can really feel.
I mean, on the plus side, this is a great steering wheel.
Yes, I
And it's,
love the steering
You
wheel.
know, your main touch point, so it's nice that they paid attention kind of where it matters.
That's true. Yeah. I love the steering wheel. It feels really good in the hand. It has these little knobs right here that you can rest your palm on. It's a nice massage if you need a massage.
Very cool.
And also, it feels good in the hand while you're turning, so you can really feel the steering really well. I think, yeah, I agree with you. That's a great point. This is the Autobahn version, so it also has like a fancy pants audio system. Like, they've done some really good stuff. I just wish that they had gone 100%. You know, I just wish they'd gone 10% more and really made it perfect instead of cheaping out in some areas.
Okay, but pricing wise, it's like what, 40 and a half thousand bucks?
Yeah, which is less than the Maverick, but you also, you know, it's a smaller car, and it's only front wheel drive. So maybe the Maverick's price isn't too offensive.
Right. So interior wise, I know you can't compare it to the Maverick. It's not an apples to apples kind of comparison, but I don't think Volkswagen dropped the ball on making the interior practical.
No, it looks much more traditional than the Maverick, but for good reasons. You have these pockets over here
And they're huge.
They're huge, and they are lined, which is nice, so it makes them quieter. And these ones fit my water bottle. I have a Yeti water bottle, and they don't fit in the door pockets in the Maverick, which I find annoying because they have a little water bottle, and I would just want my water bottle to fit there.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, they have like nice little cubbies here. This little one doesn't make much sense to me. I don't know what you're supposed to put in there.
And I will say that, as with all German vehicles, Germans hate putting cup holders in their vehicles. They get so offended by it, and you can really feel that here.
Both of these vehicles can haul ass, but they can also haul a lot of stuff too.
We love vehicles that can do it all without making a ton of sacrifices. And both of these are super easy to live with and also a bunch of fun.
And normally we pick a winner, but today we're not here to tell you to buy one over the other. But we do want to let you know that if you want a vehicle that does everything, you don't have to make a lot of sacrifices.